Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today we got a whole bunch of Star Wars news just incoming all at once. And I was trying to watch Eternals like as some of this news was coming out, and all kinds of stuff is happening. We are about to get our Disney Plus Day this upcoming Friday, where even more news will happen. So I kind of figured, like, okay, before that happens, let's just talk about everything that's been going on. Some of this I've mentioned before, but let's try and condense everything that's been happening over the last like week, I think. So okay, so this first one, okay, November 1st, this is by Jordan Mason, a guy I very much trust, very reliable guy. So this is something I have talked about before during the Boba Fett trailer when I was watching that. I think this came out like the same day. So new Star Wars animated series to focus on Darth Maul's shenanigans, exclusive. So, you know, we have talked about this before. So along with a second source informed me, familiar Star Wars voice D. Bradley Baker, Matt Lanter, and Sam Witwer were recording something. He was trying to figure out at the time what was happening. And whether for another Bad Batch season or something else. That's coming from a pair of independent sources who tell me that Darth Maul will focus on a new animated series. While they both mentioned Maul, one source specifically mentioned it was a show about his time running Crimson Dawn before Solo: A Star Wars Story. Okay, so that is one thing that I think I was mistaken about when I talked about this earlier. I thought that this was all happening after the Solo movie, because I thought that, you know, well, Kira will be there and they can kind of maybe even have cameos with Han Solo and all that. But if this is all happening before that, then what we're really seeing here is the transition period between where we last saw him in Clone Wars and where we eventually see him in that cameo at the very end of Solo. Because there's, I think, an 8-year period between those two movies, between Revenge of the Sith and Solo. So that's a lot of time to cover. And when he was escaping in Clone Wars, like right before he was captured by Ahsoka, we saw Dryden Voss there. Actually, it's right there in that picture. We saw Dryden Voss, and he told them something about like prepare something, or, you know, get ready for this big shift, because Maul could sense it. Maul could tell that, like, okay, something's about to happen, which of course Order 66 happened immediately after that. So that was really exciting, and, you know, hopefully we see all kinds of stuff here that will possibly lead up to the Book of Boba Fett. I'm excited for some of these crime syndicates to stick around, because we see that we're going to see them in this show. We saw them a little bit in Clone Wars, we saw them somewhat in Solo. There have been some new comic books, War of the Bounty Hunter and stuff like that, that have been involving a lot of these crime syndicates. So I'm hoping Book of Boba Fett is where this is all kind of culminating, and this is all really gonna like blow up in that show. You know, this is all spanning decades of time, so it'd be cool if they can kind of like have this all stream into that one major event. So that would be pretty awesome. So this is one thing that I'm really excited about. I do sort of wish that you know, perhaps this was after Solo, because I would love to have, you know, Kira be involved in these events, because that is still a big mystery. Because we see Solo end with Kira meet up with Darth Maul, and then the next time we see Darth Maul canonically after that is in Rebels, when Ezra meets him. He's stranded on, I think, Malachor, underneath this Sith temple, and that's the last time we see Darth Maul, you know, or the next time we see Darth Maul. So what happened there? He lost control of Crimson Dawn, and he was stranded on Malachor, and he meets up with Ezra, and basically Maul just kind of, you know, he's just kind of messing around with Kanan and Ezra in that show for a while, and then he eventually gets killed by Obi-Wan. So what happened to Crimson Dawn? Why were they gone for so long? Because in the War of the Bounty Hunter comics, they are re-emerged in the galaxy, and everyone acts like, oh, we haven't seen those guys in a long time. Where have they been? So that's a big mystery, and I kind of wish that, you know, the rumor says it's before Solo. I kind of wish it was after Solo, because that's still a huge mystery. But who knows? Maybe one day there will be a Solo 2 or something that explains this, because something happened in Crimson Dawn, something happened to Darth Maul. He got stranded on that planet I don't know where Kira was this whole time that Crimson Dawn disappeared. So I don't know. There's a lot of time unaccounted for. But if this is the build up to Crimson, or the build up to Solo, that's still really exciting. There are still some questions there, but who knows? Maybe eventually, like a season two of this show will happen after Solo, maybe. And maybe that's when we'll finally get our answers, because lots of questions about what happened with Maul. And why, during Rebels he never tried to go form Crimson Dawn again. He kind of just went off on his own. He kept on messing around with Ezra, saying like, let me be your master, so I don't know. It's interesting stuff. Okay, so our next big rumor here, and this happened literally as I was going into the theater. As I was going into the theater to go watch Eternals, this thing dropped like at night. People started talking about this on Twitter, and I was like, I am trying to go watch Eternals, so I can't really talk about this right now, but it's really interesting. Okay, so this is on Star Wars Newsnet. Lucasfilm developing an Old Republic movie for 2023 as Rogue Squadron could move to 2024. Okay, so before we even get into the rest of this, okay, hold on, here we go. So we don't know a whole lot about the Star Wars movies that are happening. We know so much about the Disney Plus shows, and the movies have been relatively quiet. We know some things, we know that Kevin Feige is producing one, we know Taika Waititi is making another, and we know that Rogue Squadron, Patty Jenkins' movie, is Rogue Squadron. So the idea that now there is a fourth movie that is coming out sooner and is pushing Rogue Squadron back, that's pretty surprising of a rumor, but a lot of people have been corroborating this. So here we go. This started with Big Screen Leaks on Twitter. He says there's a Star Wars film planning to shoot next year, 2022. It's not Taika's movie, Feige's film, or Rogue Squadron, the three that we know of. So it's not any of those three, and it's planning to start shooting next year. That means that it's being written and all of this stuff this entire time. So this fourth mystery project that we have not heard of. Let's see. So we reached out to a source for clarification on this interesting story, and we've learned that while Lucasfilm is moving full steam ahead on the Rogue Squadron movie by director Patty Jenkins, they are taking their time to make sure that the screenplay is just right before filming begins, which I think a lot of people will agree that's the right move. Look, I will sit here and defend the parts of the sequels that I think have a lot of merit and a lot of interesting things about them, and but I do think that there is a general consensus that most people, even the people like me who do enjoy those movies, I think we can all agree on that, like, maybe let's take our time. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we flesh out everything, we kind of plan ahead a little bit, we don't need to rush these things. I think generally everyone will agree on that. Even if you hate them or even if you love them, you can agree, like, this could be smoother. We can plan it out. It's okay. The script in question, written by Matthew Robinson, The Invention of Lying Edges Tomorrow and Love of Monsters, has itself received a major rewrite since it was first announced, and Jenkins herself is keeping busy with her work on the third Wonder Woman movie, and a planned Amazon's spin-off, which she is set to produce. So basically, yeah, Rogue Squadron is being rewritten. Patty Jenkins is already directing other projects, so Rogue Squadron is kind of being put on the back burner for at least a minute. Okay, well, hold on. The people at Lucasfilm wanted a hiatus from annual film releases in order to be able to ensure that each project that they work on has the right amount of time and development, and they wanted to make sure that they don't have to rush things to make specific deadlines, which is, that's the point I just made of, like, we can take our time. Why rush it? You know what I mean? It's okay. I know that initially when Disney bought Lucasfilm, that was the plan, to have annual Star Wars films, and I do think that could have worked. I think my major thing about Solo was that they released it, when did they release it? In March or whatever, or May, which I'm like, it should have been a December movie. It should have been. I think things would have worked out quite differently if it was a December movie. Anyways, let's see. Because of this, there is word that they are currently contemplating and are very close to pushing Rogue Squadron to some point in 2024. No word on what this might mean for the currently scheduled Avatar 3, which is stated to release that December, which seems to be the go-to window for Star Wars movies since Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm. Yeah, like I just said, Solo should have been a December movie. And yeah, they, you know, we all heard about, like, I think last year at some point, Disney released this giant schedule of, like, here's all the Avatar movies, and here's all our future Star Wars movies, and here's everything that we're coming out with in the next 4 or 5 years, which obviously that can all be shifted around, but they did come out with a giant, like, calendar for all that. However, the current December 22nd, 2023 release date is still set to be filled by a new Star Wars project. Thankfully, Lucasfilm has been clandestinely working on several projects as part of their theatrical and streaming slates, and word is that one that could take Rogue Squadron's current date is a story set in the days of the Old Republic. It's not clear if this is going to be a canon reimagining of the original story presented in the Tales of the Jedi comics or the BioWare RPGs, but it can be presumed to may take inspiration from those stories. Okay, so again, the idea that they have very secretly been working on an entire movie that would be ready to start filming next year, which means it's pretty far along in the pre-production stage, you know what I mean? Which, here's my thing, is that, you know, large chunks of Rise of Skywalker were leaked entirely, like the plot and a lot of stuff that was even deleted and later confirmed to have at one point, like the Matt Smith stuff, you know, a lot of that was leaked. Now, maybe that was Bad Robot's fault, not Lucasfilm's fault. You know what I mean? My only thing is that, like, the idea that not only has nothing leaked, but this is a movie that very few people even knew about. Like, don't get me wrong, there were rumors of an Old Republic something being worked on. Now, when they announced that they're doing their remake of Knights of the Old Republic, I think a lot of people kind of assumed, like, okay, maybe that must have been what all the rumors were about this whole time. You know, and things kind of get mixed together when rumors and leaks start coming out. Things get blended up a little bit. But, you know, the idea that they have been working on this movie, you know, or at least, you know, concept art and scripts and, you know, maybe even probably the early talks, very, very early talks of casting, you know what I mean? So, like, the idea that, like, this stuff has already, you know, started slowly happening for potentially coming out in 2023 and no one knew about it, that just, it seems very unlikely in this day and age. That's my only thing. Is it impossible? No, obviously it's possible. You know, it's just, it feels like someone would have known something, but you know, maybe those little whispers we heard about, like, Old Republic stuff, maybe this is what that was, you know. But they were very small whispers. So here we go. There's some precedent for Lucasfilm to be invested in Knights of the Old Republic concept beyond the remake of the original game, which was announced earlier this year. Back in 2019, BuzzFeed reported that Leta Kalogridis, Shutter Island and Alita Battle Angel had been commissioned to begin work on a project related to the Old Republic era, possibly as the first film in a potential trilogy. While this story didn't seem to go anywhere for the past 2 years, it's likely that it's just been in the pipeline for a while and is the same as this new movie scheduled to be released in 2023. Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was talking about. Like, we heard those little whispers like a long time ago about Old Republic stuff, and then nothing happened. You know, but yeah, like they just said, there you go, that's probably what it was. Keep in mind that for now this remains a rumor and things could easily change. It's also possible that the 2023 movie could be for another project that we don't yet know about, since an Old Republic story is one potential option. We'll likely find out more in the months ahead, as Lucasfilm has already adjusted their theatrical release schedule, with Indiana Jones 5 being released to 2023. Yeah, that's the other thing, is like, I think a few months ago, Indiana Jones 5 got pushed back, Doctor Strange got pushed back a little bit. Yeah, everything got moved around a little bit. Just Marvel stuff, I think, happened. So yeah, I think this is a rumor that is, you know, it, like they said, it's at such an early stage where actual production has not yet started that they could easily just be like, no, we're gonna push this thing to 2025 or 2026, you know. And something else entirely could happen. So, you know, this is not something that I would like set my hopes on of like, this is absolutely going to happen in 2023. We don't know that. And like I said, the fact that we, you know, none of the leakers and people have really heard much about this, and nothing's been said about this for several years, it definitely is one of those things where it's like, you know, it feels like it's too early to definitely say that this is happening. It's like a maybe happening, you know. Now of course everyone's gonna be like, is it gonna follow the game? Is it gonna follow those comics? Is it gonna follow this or that? You know, I don't think anyone knows. Nobody knows, not even Lucasfilm's probably still like looking at different things. Maybe, who knows if a full script's done or if they're just still in the early drafts of a script, you know, who knows. It is interesting that Knights of the Old Republic game is coming out next year, you know, potentially next year. And people still don't even know, like, is that game going to be canonized? Are they changing things in that game, or are they going to leave it mostly the same and just call it canon? Or is it just still just like a Legends game? You know, I'd be fine with that either way, but it does kind of bring into question of like, okay, if they're trying to make this movie and they're trying to make that game, which would be set, you know, somewhere within a couple hundred years of each other, right? Generally they're all within the same, you know, 500 600 years of events happening all at once. It basically, Old Republic is just anything that happened a couple thousand years ago, you know, or you know, in this case maybe 20,000 years ago, something like that. Who knows? Yeah, it's way too early to tell. I know some people are already gonna like go way overboard and be like, Keanu Reeves as Revan, rah, you know. Who knows? I personally believe that because they're already doing a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, for me that kind of takes the Revan story off the table for a movie, especially if they canonize that game. If that game is canon, then I don't think that they would ever put Revan in a movie, because you play the, you know, if you want to know the canon story of Revan, you play the game. Just like Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis is likely never going to be in any kind of live action thing because you play the game. That's his story. That's where it's at. You know, like it's, you know, it's still canon, it still counts, but it just happened in a video game. And that's just the way it is, you know. So I imagine that Revan is going to end up being the same way. Is that like, no, we did the remake, we're not making a movie. So if they did an Old Republic anything, I honestly kind of prefer it to be like a Darth Bane story. Like, you know, I know that's not as old, but like I feel like a Darth Bane would be much more fitting for, you know, just an interesting trilogy on its own. But who knows what they could do. They could always pull in some like Nomi Sunrider, Exar Kun type stuff. You know, I read those Tales of the Jedi comics. There's a lot of interesting stuff there that they could take inspiration from, you know, maybe clean it up a little, because those comics just like packed everything in there, you know. But yeah, a lot of stuff they could do there. Who knows? You know, we will see within the next year if anything comes out of that. Okay, and the next rumor, the final thing that we got to talk about. So this is what to expect on Disney Plus Day. So this is this upcoming Friday, stuff that they have heard is probably going to happen. And some of this we kind of already know about. For example, a lot of people thought that the Book of Boba Fett trailer was going to release on that Friday, but it already came out. So that was kind of a surprise for a lot of people, because they thought they would hold off on that, which of course means that they must have something else they want to show us, because they went ahead and released that early. So here we go. Includes our first look at Obi-Wan Kenobi's series and several other projects. We're reporting these as rumors simply because studios have been known to change these things up until the last minute. For example, J.J. Abrams came down to the wire to decide on which version of Episode 9 trailer to debut at Star Wars Celebration. Another thing is that, for example, they back when they did that big announcement of all these Star Wars Disney Plus shows, what was it? The Rangers of the New Republic. Apparently, that was gonna be some giant, huge announcement before what's her name did all that stupid stuff, and now who knows what's even happening with that? Maybe nothing, So apparently, when they say that they change things down at the last minute, like they mean it. Like within the last couple of hours, they make these decisions on like, you know what? We're not going to show this, which. That's just how it is. That's how it works. Why? I don't know, but that's how it works. Anyways, let's see. We reached out for Lucasfilm for comment, but did not hear back. This moment we have all been waiting on for now is just a week away. We're told the first teaser trailer for Obi-Wan series will debut on Disney Plus Day. The series wrapped filming a couple months ago, so having footage ready by this point makes sense, especially for the Star Wars project that is universally the most hyped and anticipated. Yeah, that makes sense. It seems like the most easily predictable ones. Like, we're gonna see something for Obi-Wan. I'll be honest, guys, I am expecting like maybe a 40-second teaser. I am not expecting a whole bunch of footage and all of this, like, here's what the plot is gonna be. I'm expecting more like kind of tone and theme, like what the, kind of give you a vibe of what it's gonna be, but maybe not plot stuff, so I'm not expecting a lot of dialogue. Maybe we'll get like one shot of Obi-Wan, like we'll see him like with his hood up walking around, and then at the end of the trailer we'll see like his actual face, but it's just gonna look like Obi-Wan. We know what he looks like. Will they even show an ignited lightsaber? Maybe. I can imagine something that would make an easy tease would be like, oh, it's an Inquisitor's, we see a lightsaber ignite, and then it's like an Inquisitor's blade, the ones with the rings on them, that they have those spinny ones. Maybe Darth Vader breathing, probably not show Vader at all, but maybe hear like his breathing and you'd be like, ooh, Vader's coming, stuff like that. So I'm not expecting to like see a whole bunch of stuff, but it's a teaser, it's just to be like, ooh, here's the tone, and we will have to wait several months for like an actual trailer, but I'm expecting just little tiny tease. I'm not expecting too much. So I think that's a big thing, is that like, don't watch this Obi-Wan thing thinking that you're gonna get everything. Like, this is gonna be tiny teases. You're probably not gonna see Darth Vader or Hayden or anything like that. You're gonna hear like the Vader breath, and that's it. Our source told us that we should also expect a sizzle reel for Andor. You might recall the clip that debuted last December, Disney Investor Day webcast, and it sounds like another might be coming. This is a bit of a surprise, as we figured we would at least see a teaser for the series by now. So we'll see what they bring to the table for the spy-based Rogue One prequel series. Yeah, Andor is still the one that I think most people kind of forget about when they bring up all the shows. It's like, oh, that's right, there's an Andor show coming. Yeah, I think this is already finished filming, right? Like they've already filmed this thing, so to not get a trailer would be weird. So if it's still just more behind the scenes stuff where you see the green screen, or not the green screen, but the thing, all the screens, I forget what it's called. But the thing the Mandalorian uses, it's not green screen. I'm expecting we'll see a lot of that, which those are cool. You can get some things from that, but I definitely would have preferred a trailer by now, because it feels, I don't know why, but it feels like Andor has been a thing for a long time, and it's like, is this show ever going to come out? I don't know. Anyways, we were also told that behind the scenes sizzle reel for both the Book of Boba Fett and the Return of the Mandalorian would be shown. That's interesting. Behind the scenes reel for Fett makes sense, as we just got the trailer. It seems a bit early for sizzle reel for season 3 of The Mandalorian, being that it started filming just a little over a month ago. I'm a little skeptical of that one, but would welcome it. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's not impossible. They probably have at least like the first episode of The Mandalorian they could probably shoot. And again, I'm not expecting much from these behind the scene things, you know, like I imagine it's gonna be, oh, Mandalorian's on a ship, Mandalorian's walking around with his armor, you know. Would we even hear Pedro Pascal's voice, or is he just doing a lot of voice work and not a lot of actual in the armor stuff, which is what they did for season 1, which is, so that's fine. You know, I'm not expecting to see Grogu or Luke Skywalker or anything like that. It's probably just going to be a lot of him walking around. Maybe you'll hear Jon Favreau saying like, well, this season we really want to do this and that, you know, and that's really all we're going to get. So for these behind the scenes stuff, I'm not expecting much, you know. Probably a lot of stuff you can already imagine in your brain happening. That's really all we'll see. So let's see. As far as new Star Wars project announced, our source told us that we can definitely expect them, and they believe a new canon animated series could be announced on Disney Plus Day as well. Okay, so, you know, interesting that they say that. So like, oh, a Disney Plus animated series, and then of course we have Jordan Mason over here saying like, I've heard there's a Crimson Dawn series. So you can kind of see how these things tend to line up, you know. Different people with different sources hear different things, but sometimes they happen to line up, and that just kind of increases the likelihood that there's something to them. So that's pretty damn cool. We're probably, I would say probably gonna hear something about the Maul show. Now, if there's more than just one animated series, of course we got, like they say here, speaking of animated, we're here, they're showcasing a teaser for Bad Batch season 2. I think the voice actress for Omega posted a picture where she's already doing voice work for season 2, and in the background we saw some like paused animation still for season 2. So like the animation's probably been well underway, and they're probably like wrapping up the voice work, you know. So like, yeah, a lot of Bad Batch season 2 is probably already done, I imagine. So because you got to remember, they, for example, they had I think it was revealed Fennec Shand in Bad Batch season 1 was already like done before Fennec Shand was even in Mandalorian season 1. Before they filmed that, they were already doing her animation for Bad Batch. So like this Bad Batch animation stuff, they do it like 2-3 years before it releases, you know. So like when you think about it that way, it's like, yeah, Bad Batch season 2, the scripts have been done for a long time. The animation's probably pretty much already done. Voice work was probably finished a month ago, you know. Like it's probably just like we're just kind of putting the finishing details on there, and then it's done, you know. So I would not be surprised if like they've already mostly moved on to this Darth Maul show, and that already has a decent amount of work done on it. So stuff like that. Hopefully they announce an even other, you know, I haven't heard anything about this, but it would be like a dream if they were like, yeah, there's a Luke Skywalker animated series coming out or something like that. That would be really cool. I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. We'll find out in less than 10 days, and we all hope this comes to fruition and more. It's a fun time to be a Star Wars fan. We look forward to enjoying and reporting on Disney Plus Day, Friday, November 12th. Okay, so yeah, Obi-Wan teaser trailer, that's gonna be cool, but again, I'm not getting my hopes too high that we'll see much. You know, maybe we'll see some Tatooine shots, maybe one lightsaber ignited, some Darth Vader breathing, pretty cool. Behind the scenes stuff, that's cool and all. We don't usually get a whole lot from that, but you know, we'll hear probably John and Dave talking about what they want to do this season, you know, stuff like that. Andor, I kind of wish we got something. Like, I want to see some actual footage of Andor, because this feels like something they've been working on for so long and nothing has come out of it yet. But yeah, I'm fully expecting that this Darth Maul show is going to be announced this upcoming Friday, so that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, and that's pretty awesome. And, you know, again, it's like this Disney Plus stuff has been essentially what we've been living off of for the past, 2 years now? Yeah, basically 2 years. Which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love the Disney Plus stuff. You know, like all the shows, they've all been great. They've all been definitely feeding that Star Wars, they've been scratching that Star Wars itch that I have, right? Like, okay, I want some new Star Wars content. Luckily, this is coming out, and then Boba Fett's coming out, and all that stuff. It's all great. But on the movie side, I'm happy that they're just rumors, very early rumors. Obviously, this could all be nothing at the end, right? Like a year from now, oh, nothing came of that. Okay. But yeah, I'm ready to hear some movie stuff. I'm ready to find out, like, okay, don't get me wrong, take your time, but it'd be nice to know that, like, everything's going good, like, is production gonna start? Taika's working on, I think, what is Taika working on? A Haunted Mansion or something? Taika's working on some other Disney project, I think. Patty Jenkins working on Wonder Woman 3, so it is kind of like, is the Star Wars movies, everything's going fine there? So I don't know. Old Republic movie, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this upcoming Friday, lots of news. Expect some reactions to the Obi-Wan teaser. I will try my best to not watch it, before I get a chance to sit down and actually record it live, like record it with my actual first reaction. I will try my best to resist just watching it on my phone the second it comes out. And I don't know, I hope we get other actual teasers. Behind the scenes stuff is fine, but I don't know, I definitely would prefer at least a small teaser. Show me some footage that you're shooting, because I know you're shooting some footage. I know you got something. Even if it's rough, I would prefer that to a behind the scenes thing. But we'll hear John and Dave talk. That'll be fine. Yeah, so let me know what you're excited for about any of these rumors. Are you excited for Old Republic movie? Are you excited for Friday Disney Plus Day craziness happening? And also, it's not all going to be Star Wars stuff. There's going to be Marvel stuff in there too, I'm sure. We have, I think, several Marvel shows coming out next year, maybe, and maybe even some other stuff, because to be honest with you, my Disney Plus account is basically filled with Star Wars and Marvel stuff. So I'm kind of like, what other stuff can Disney bring to Disney Plus Day? Maybe some stuff that we have not, it's not even on my radar, and then it gets announced, and I'm like, what? So who knows what they'll announce. I'm pretty excited for it. It feels like a mini version of Star Wars Celebration, like a tiny little, like, ooh, little announcements, yay. But also, I am not gonna get my hopes up to have like this crazy, mind-blowing thing, and maybe that's why they released the Book of Boba Fett trailer before this. Maybe they're like, hey, here's like a major thing here that you've all been waiting for, the trailer for this show. Maybe they're trying to like kind of satiate some expectations, trying to be like, okay, we gave you a giant thing, now just enjoy the presentation. There's gonna be some stuff, but maybe not everything, So yeah, I'm not going into this expecting like insanity, but just tiny little, like, okay, this is cool, we'll react to this. Anyways, let me know what you're excited for. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you hope for. And yeah, I'll see you guys Friday. All right, bye.